Welcome to Zoe Stories. My dad thinks I'm his new daughter. The soft hum of the city outside barely reached inside the small but cozy apartment where Alex lived. It was late afternoon, the golden hour casting warm light through the windows and landing softly on his desk cluttered with sketches, fabric swatches, and half-finished designs. Alex was a fashion illustrator by day, a passion that gave him a chance to escape the monotony of corporate life, and by night, well, he had a secret. Crossdressing wasn't just a whim or a passing fancy for Alex. It was an essential part of who he was, a way to explore a side of himself that most people never saw. Not because he wanted to be anyone other than himself, but because when he wore dresses, makeup, and heels, he felt more alive, more complete. It was a fragile freedom, one he guarded fiercely. His relationship with Leah was complicated, loving but filled with unspoken tensions. Leah didn't know everything about Alex, not about his secret life at least. She was supportive in the ways she knew how, but there was a distance between them whenever the topic of his cross-dressing hovered in the air. Alex worried about how much she truly understood, or if she feared what she didn't want to admit. The apartment they shared was modest but comfortable, nestled in a quiet neighborhood far enough from the city's noisy pulse. Here, Alex could safely indulge in his dual existence, at least when Leah wasn't home. The apartment's bedroom was a sanctuary, filled with racks of clothing carefully chosen for different moods, styles, and nights. Mannequins stood in corners draped with silk and lace, while shelves held boxes of wigs, makeup, and shoes, the tools of his transformation. But today was different. Alex was preparing for a visit from his dad. His father, a man steeped in old-fashioned values, had recently lost his wife, Alex's mom. Now, his dad was trying to rebuild his life, and in his loneliness, had latched onto the idea that Alex could be the daughter he never had. It was a strange, surreal situation that both frightened and intrigued Alex. Growing up, Alex and his dad had never been close. His father was strict, sometimes cold, always expecting Alex to conform to traditional ideas of masculinity. When Alex started exploring his cross-dressing, he had learned to keep it hidden, burying it deep where no one could find it. But with his mom gone, his dad's yearning for a daughter was becoming more intense and dangerously hopeful. Leah noticed the tension too. She often asked questions about his dad's visits, sensing something was off. But Alex brushed her off, unwilling to burden her with the complicated mess of his family life and secret identity. He feared that if Leah really understood the situation, she might pull away. After all, how would she react if she found out the man she loved was slowly becoming the daughter his father desperately wanted? The pressure was mounting, and Alex's carefully balanced world felt like it was about to collapse. The thought of pretending, of slipping into the role his dad imagined, terrified him. Yet part of him was curious. What would it feel like to be seen, accepted, even loved, as this other version of himself? Could he risk it? Or would the truth shatter everything? As the clock ticked closer to his father's arrival, Alex found himself standing in front of his full-length mirror. The familiar ritual began, smoothing on foundation, shaping his eyebrows, tracing the delicate lines of eyeliner. Each brush stroke was a step deeper into the woman he became behind closed doors. He slipped into a soft blouse and a skirt that flared just above his knees, the fabric swaying lightly as he moved. The heels clicked softly on the hardwood floor, and for a moment, Alex felt a spark of joy, but it was quickly drowned out by anxiety. He could hear the elevator ding downstairs. His heart raced. Could he keep up the act? Would his dad see through the disguise? More importantly, would his dad accept this new daughter, or reject the part of Alex that he was slowly revealing? The doorbell rang. Taking a deep breath, Alex smoothed his skirt, adjusted the wig that framed his face perfectly, and opened the door. His dad stood there, eyes bright, a smile on his lips, the look of a man who thought he had found something precious he'd lost. "Hey, kiddo. Or should I say my new daughter?" His dad chuckled, stepping inside as if the door was always meant to open for her. Alex forced a smile, feeling the tightrope he was about to walk stretched taut beneath his feet. The first few hours after his dad arrived passed in an uneasy silence that pressed down on Alex like a weight. His dad was a changed man, gentler, softer, but the awkwardness between them was palpable. Alex kept catching his dad's gaze lingering on him a little too long, eyes searching, as if trying to piece together something just beyond reach. They sat in the living room, drinking tea, sharing memories of Alex's mother. His dad talked about the past, about regrets and lost chances, and then, almost shyly, he brought up the future. You know, Alex, I've been thinking, maybe it's not too late to start fresh. To have someone to call my daughter. Alex's heart thumped painfully in his chest. That phrase, call my daughter, stuck in the air between them like a fragile promise or a dangerous trap. He managed a weak smile, trying to sound light. Dad, you know I'm your son. His dad's face softened. I know. But sometimes we get what we need, not what we expect. Alex wanted to ask what that meant, but the words caught in his throat. The visits stretched longer. His dad insisted they look through old photo albums, sharing stories from when Alex was a child, before all the secrets and distance grew between them. His dad's voice cracked when he talked about Alex's mother, the warmth in his eyes contradicting the rigid man Alex remembered. As night fell, Alex's mind raced. The idea of playing this role, his dad's daughter, felt overwhelming. But part of him was drawn to it, to the chance of acceptance and love he'd been denied for so long. Later, alone in his room, Alex stood before the mirror again. He slowly peeled off the wig, the blouse, and the skirt. The clothes that made him feel free also felt like chains when he thought about the coming days. His phone buzzed. A message from Leah. How's your dad? Need me to come over? He typed back. It's complicated. I'll be okay. But he wasn't sure if he would be. The next day, Alex decided to test the waters. His dad had asked him to stay the night, alone, just the two of them, and suggested that maybe Alex could try on the role his dad imagined, just to see how it felt. The thought made Alex's stomach twist. But he was curious, and part of him wanted to prove to his dad, and to himself, that this wasn't just a game. It was a part of his identity. He locked the door behind his dad, who had gone to bed early. Then Alex moved to his secret wardrobe, the carefully hidden space behind the bedroom closet. He pulled out a soft, flowy dress, pale pink with delicate lace trim. His fingers trembled as he held it up, feeling the fabric glide through his hands like silk. The dress was a favorite. It made him feel light, almost weightless. With deliberate care, Alex changed. He applied makeup slowly, each brushstroke grounding him, connecting him to the woman he revealed in the mirror. The lipstick's red shade was bold but perfect for night. Slipping on the heels, he felt a mixture of excitement and fear. His reflection smiled back at him, a face both familiar and new. Then, the sound of footsteps downstairs startled him. His dad was up. Alex? You still awake? Came the soft voice. Panic surged, but Alex steadied himself. Yeah, just couldn't sleep. His dad climbed the stairs, stopping in the doorway of the bedroom. For a moment, neither spoke. Then his dad's eyes widened, his mouth slightly open. You look beautiful, he said quietly. Alex's breath caught. His dad took a tentative step forward. I never thought I'd see you like this. Alex swallowed hard. I'm still me, Dad. Yes, his dad whispered, but maybe I'm seeing you for the first time. The next few days were a whirlwind of tension and secret moments. His dad seemed more at ease with Alex's crossdressing than Alex had dared hope. He would compliment the clothes, ask questions about the makeup, and even share old stories of his late wife's fashion. But the more comfortable his dad grew, the more Alex felt the strain of maintaining the facade. At work, Alex found it harder to concentrate. His mind drifted constantly to the double life he was leading. He feared that Leah might find out. She had started asking more questions, concerned about his distant moods and distracted behavior. One evening, after a long day, Leah came over unexpectedly. Alex, what's going on? She asked, her eyes searching his face. He hesitated, then decided to show her. In the privacy of his room, Alex slipped into his favorite dress and makeup, revealing the side of himself he had hidden for so long. Leah's reaction was a mixture of surprise and awe. You're beautiful, Alex, she said softly. Why didn't you tell me? Alex shrugged, vulnerability raw in his voice. I was scared. Scared you wouldn't understand. That I'd lose you. Leah took his hand. I don't want to lose you. But you have to be honest with me. That night marked a turning point. Leah promised to support him, but warned that his dad's reaction would be the real test. Back home, the tension reached a new height when Alex's dad suggested they go shopping. For the new daughter, he said with a smile. Alex felt a mix of dread and reluctant excitement. He tried on dresses in a crowded store, each one pulling him deeper into a role he wasn't sure he wanted, but was starting to understand. As he twirled in front of the mirror, his dad clapped softly. You were born for this, kiddo. But when they got home, Alex caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror, a stranger staring back. Was this who he really was? Or was he losing himself in the illusion? One evening, as Alex sat applying his makeup, the phone rang.
It was Leah.
I have to come over. Something's wrong. Alex's heart sank. When she arrived, she looked shaken. Your dad called me, she said quietly.
He's confused.
He wants to meet me and talk. Alex's world tilted. Could he keep this secret any longer? Was his double life about to unravel? That night, Alex lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His dad's hopes, Leah's concerns, his own fears, they all collided inside him. He wondered if he could ever be both Alex and this new person his dad wanted. If acceptance was worth the risk of losing everything else. The air in the house felt thick with unspoken words as the evening drew in. Alex knew this night would be unlike any other. Leah was coming over to meet his dad, the meeting that could change everything. He sat nervously in his room, dressed carefully in a soft lavender dress with delicate lace sleeves. The wig was styled just right, makeup flawless. He practiced a smile in the mirror, but inside, his heart pounded. Was he ready for this? To truly show both parts of himself in front of the two most important people in his life? When the doorbell rang, he took a deep breath and opened it. Leah stood there, her face calm but serious. Ready? She asked. Alex nodded. As ready as I'll ever be. They went to the living room where his dad waited, seated quietly, eyes flicking between them. Thanks for coming, his dad said, his voice steady but gentle. Leah smiled warmly. I'm glad to meet you. For a while, they talked about ordinary things, work, memories, the past. Then his dad glanced at Alex. You're really doing this for me? He asked softly. Alex swallowed. It's not just for you. It's who I am. His dad nodded slowly, absorbing the truth. Then his face shifted, doubt, worry, something Alex hadn't seen before. I want to understand, his dad said. But it's hard. I grew up with different ideas. Suddenly, the sound of the front door opening jolted everyone. Alex's heart froze. Dad, called a voice from the hallway. Are you home? It was his uncle, unexpected and unannounced. Alex's dad cursed softly. That's my brother. He wasn't supposed to be here. Leah squeezed Alex's hand, eyes wide. The uncle entered the room, a stern look on his face. He looked between the three of them, noticing Alex's dress, the makeup. What's going on here? He asked suspiciously. Alex's dad stammered. It's complicated. The uncle's gaze hardened. You've been hiding things, haven't you? This isn't just a visit. Alex felt the panic rising. The careful balance they had was about to shatter. Suddenly, the uncle's eyes landed on Alex with a sharp intensity. You expect me to believe you're his daughter? He sneered. Alex wanted to disappear. Leah stood protectively in front of him. Alex is still the same person. You should respect that. But the uncle wasn't listening. He advanced, voice rising. This is unnatural. You're confusing him, messing with his head. Alex's dad looked torn, between his brother's harshness and his own conflicted feelings. Alex took a shaky step forward. I'm not confusing anyone. I'm just trying to be who I really am. The uncle scoffed. This isn't who you are. It's a phase, a mistake. Suddenly, the tension exploded. Alex's dad, usually so quiet, spoke firmly. Enough. This is my house, and my son, my daughter, will be treated with respect. The uncle sneered but backed down, muttering as he left. After the door slammed, silence hung heavy. Leah whispered, "That was close." Alex's dad sighed deeply, looking at Alex with a mixture of pride and sorrow. "I'm sorry you had to see that," he said. "Family can be cruel." Alex nodded, fighting tears. "I just want to be accepted." His dad smiled weakly. "You are in my eyes." But the relief was short-lived. The next morning, Alex's phone buzzed with a message from Leah. "We need to talk. I saw something online about your dad." His heart sank. She sent a link to a social media post, a photo of his uncle and others, mocking and condemning people who didn't conform to their narrow views. The post hinted at plans to expose Alex, to set things right. Fear clenched Alex's chest. His secret was at risk, and now a public storm was brewing. He had to act fast. He called his dad. "We have to be careful," his dad said grimly. "Your uncle's not just angry. He's dangerous." Alex realized the stakes were higher than ever. His dad's acceptance was fragile, and outside forces threatened to destroy everything. The days that followed were a nightmare. Alex's dad became protective, but the stress showed in his eyes. Leah stayed close, supporting him as best she could. One evening, Alex was alone in his room, dressing carefully, when he heard a noise downstairs. Someone was breaking in. He froze, heart racing. The intruder was his uncle. Alex tried to hide, but the door creaked. "Looking for you," the uncle snarled. Alex's mind flashed to the dress, the wig, the makeup. Should he run? Should he fight? Or should he show himself? The uncle stormed into the room, eyes blazing. "Enough of this madness," he yelled. Alex stood trembling, but held his ground. "I'm not ashamed," he said firmly. The uncle lunged, but Alex dodged, grabbing a vase and swinging it. A crash, a shout, then silence. Alex's dad and Leah burst in, calling the police. In the aftermath, the family was shaken but closer. Alex's dad hugged him tightly. "You're brave," he said. "And I'm proud." Leah smiled through tears. "We'll face whatever comes together." Alex looked in the mirror, his reflection no longer a stranger, but a symbol of strength and truth. The calm after the chaos was deceptive. Though the intruder was gone, the sense of safety had vanished. Alex felt trapped in his own home, a prisoner to fears he hadn't fully understood before. His dad, usually strong and steady, now looked tired and worn. The lines of worry on his face were unmistakable. "We can't keep living like this," his dad confessed one evening, voice heavy with exhaustion. "Your uncle isn't going to stop. He's planning something bigger, something to humiliate us all." Alex swallowed the lump in his throat. The man who had once been his pillar was now broken, haunted by family conflict. Leah held Alex's hand tightly. "We need a plan," she said, her usual optimism tempered by reality. "We can't let him win." But what could they do? The world outside was already starting to judge. Rumors at work, whispers among neighbors. The threat of exposure loomed large. One night, as Alex prepared to transform into his crossdressing persona, a ritual that usually brought comfort and confidence, he hesitated. His fingers trembled over the makeup brush. The soft fabric of the dress felt heavier somehow. What if this was all a mistake? His mind raced through the faces of his family, his friends, Leah, and the looming shadow of his uncle. Suddenly, a knock on the window startled him. He peered through the curtains and saw a figure lurking in the shadows. His heart pounded.
It was his uncle again.
Alex's breath hitched as he saw the cold determination in the man's eyes. He realized this was no longer just about family differences. This was a fight for his very identity, his right to exist as he truly was. The next day at work, things took a dangerous turn. Alex's usually supportive boss called him into the office. "There's talk," the boss said quietly. "People are saying things. We need to know where you stand." Alex's palms sweated. Was his secret leaking here too? He nodded slowly. "I'm who I am, and I'm not hiding." The boss sighed. "I admire your courage, but you need to be careful." Alex knew those words meant more than they said. His professional future was on the line. Back home, the threats escalated. Anonymous letters, strange phone calls, and even damage to the family car. One evening, Alex found a note slipped under the door. "Stop pretending, or everyone will see who you really are." Fear threatened to consume him, but Leah's unwavering support became his anchor. "We'll face this together," she promised. A turning point came when Alex's dad finally confronted his brother. "You're hurting your family," he said, voice shaking with anger and disappointment. "If you keep this up, you'll lose us forever." The uncle's face twisted with rage, but also something else, maybe regret. He stormed out, leaving behind a fragile hope. Then came the night of the neighborhood gathering, a test of Alex's resolve. He arrived dressed as his true self, heart pounding. Neighbors whispered, eyes wide with surprise and curiosity. But Leah stood beside him, proud and strong. Alex took a deep breath and smiled. "This is me," he said, "and I'm not afraid anymore." The night was heavy with silence, but Alex's mind was anything but quiet. He had faced more than he ever thought possible: the threats, the family drama, the exposure at work. Yet somehow, standing there in the quiet of his room, dressed as his true self, he felt more vulnerable than ever. The mirror reflected back a version of him he'd always wanted to be free to be, yet the reflection seemed fractured, as if caught between two worlds. His phone buzzed suddenly, a message from an unknown number. "You're not safe. Not yet." Alex's heart leapt into his throat. Was this his uncle? A new threat? He locked the door and pulled the curtains tight, but the unease stayed. Just then, the front door creaked open.
"Dad."
Alex called, his voice shaking. No answer. The footsteps came closer, slow and deliberate. Alex's breath caught as a shadow crossed the doorway. Then the light flicked on. It wasn't his dad. It was someone else. Someone Alex wasn't prepared to face. The screen fades to black. Text appears. What will Alex do next? Will his secret finally be exposed? Is the danger closer than he thinks?